problems facing real people, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way, but just Andrea. Listen to Andrea's story, listeners, and weep. 51551 text. Andrea, you are the archetypal victim of this pyramid Celtic tiger that we went through for nearly 10 years. What happened? Andrea?
Hello, hi Joe, it's Andrea here.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me what happened with your apartment.
Thank you, Joe, I will. Back in 2006, I bought a one-bedroom apartment in Carrickmines Green, which I would have closed and moved into in October 2008.
How much did you pay?
I paid, back in 2006, I agreed, the contract price was $375,000.
Okay.
By the time I had closed in October 2008, the property crash had certainly begun, and I was able to reduce the price down to €345,000.
And now those apartments, the exact same apartments, the exact same block, exact same fit out, are selling for how much?
They're selling for $135,000. So that is just a little more than 200,000 difference in probably less than 2 years.
So you paid nearly 2.5 times what the new occupants of your apartments are paying.
Absolutely. I worked it out, and it's about a 60% reduction price that people who purchased those apartments last weekend got them for.
And how do you feel?
Oh, kind of a whole mix of different feelings. Well, the main one would be that I know what a big mistake I made when I signed for that apartment back in 2006. And the sheer disappointment that an apartment could lose $200,000 in value in less than 2 years.
My God. And were you there on Sunday when the droves descended on Carrickmines Green to get the bargains?
No, I was there at about 2 o'clock. I was there, and although the show units were only due to open at 3 o'clock, there was a lot of people already there, and so I actually didn't hang around. I thought it was probably best not to be there to see the crowds of people that would be buying apartments at such a reduced price.
I can understand your frustration. My God, you would have saved €210,000. And remember, on a mortgage, that you usually pay back 3 to 5 times on a mortgage what you borrow. So that's nearly $1 million.
Absolutely.
You would have saved 210,000 if you had held out. And now remember, there has been criticism of this fire sale because apparently a number of the subcontractors in Carrickmines Green have not been paid.
That's right. I was only reading an article there on Sunday where Sean Gallagher was saying he's owed some money because they would have been the people that installed the smart home in the apartment, and they haven't received any money. So I guess that there's more people than just the residents that purchased in 2005 and 2006 that are actually losing a lot in the fire sale that happened last weekend.
Because he said it is, as you say, it's like buying stolen goods because the suppliers have not been paid.
It is, and I guess when we see the turnout of people at the actual launch, that is one of those things, isn't it, where something that is so good for some people is actually so bad for other people, and that's very much the way I feel. It's exactly like you said. If I held off buying an apartment, I could have saved myself, which is actually a mortgage rather than just money, that over €200,000.
And Andrea, how do you feel? How do you think you'll feel? Give me the emotions when you see the people living in an apartment next door to you, same size, same fit out, same facilities, but they paid €210,000 less than you have.
It's quite frightening, really, to be left with such a huge mortgage. I guess that's probably my biggest feeling, that to have a mortgage that is in such huge negative equity, that I'm going to have to find a way to pay that when people who are living in have such a smaller mortgage, that it just seems very unfair, really.
You regret buying, I presume.
Oh, totally. But the problem for me was once I signed the contract back in 2006, when I actually sought even a second opinion up from a solicitor's, that once I signed the contract, there was nothing in the contract that I could walk away from it. So even though in 2008 I didn't really want to go through with it because the builder had dragged out completion dates, at that stage there was no choice but to go ahead with it.
Andrea, how are you going to pay back that incredible mortgage?
I guess I'm going to have to work very, very hard. That really it'd be a matter of, and this was one of the things that I was hoping some of your listeners might be able to advise. Really, how do people pay back such mortgages when they're in this amount of negative equity?
You're in an apartment which you bought for 345, and they're selling the one next door brand new for 135. 210. Yes, I labour it again. 210,000 less. It is just shocking.
It is, and the feeling I have is that consumers are so protected when we buy other items in the stores, but to buy an apartment and have absolutely no protection, it just seems really bad. It's like that people like me have been let down really badly.
Oh, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. 2.5 times you pay the price of what they're paying at the minute.
That's it. And the other thing for me, which was one of the reasons also in 2008 when I was having to close, that I had originally been living in Ashtown, and I had an apartment in Ashtown, and I grew up quite near Carrickmine, so I wanted to move back closer to family and friends. So my plan was, when I bought the apartment in Carrickmines Green, was to sell the apartment in Ashtown, but because the builder kept changing and pushing out the completion dates, it was September 2007 when I put my apartment up on the market, but sure, the market had already begun to crash. So what happened was I have a one-bed apartment in Ashtown that I have rented because I couldn't sell it. So I actually have 2 apartments, all because I wanted to move into Carrickmines Green.
Now, as we know, because we covered here a lot on the programme, indeed it was first revealed on the programme, Liveline Developments is the company that went bankrupt and left a lot of people high and dry. But they went bankrupt. Can you go bankrupt?
I think that's one of the things that I have read some articles about, that they are actually looking at the bankruptcy for individuals, that seemingly the law or the bankruptcy at the moment is really not very good for individuals. But I think that's one of the things I heard, that the government, or there's some changes being talked about on that. But absolutely, I'm thinking that perhaps maybe that will be some of the advice, that people like me will actually have to look at bankruptcy.
Yeah, I don't think you can, because Liveline Developments went into receivership owing €147 million. You cannot go into receivership. You will be hounded for the rest of your life for that money that you owe. Unfortunately, because you're one of the little people, Andrea, unfortunately.
I am, and there doesn't seem to be very many options open to me.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't know. I mean, I've no solace for you in terms of when you wake up every morning. Maybe you'll get nice neighbours. Hopefully, but and what do you work at, Andrea? You needn't tell me the place, but
I'm a IT contractor.
IT contractor. Okay. God, I wish you well. There's so many people in the same situation as you, but it's an awful blow. And you're obviously in your 20s, are you?
I'm in my 30s.
In your 30s, okay.
Yes.
You're very young. It's a terrible blow at this stage, but soldier on. And people will say to you, Andrea, you have your health and do your best. And
that's it.
But I think you have that attitude anyway, but it's still a terrible...
Thank you, Joe.
I think it's a terrible smack to wake up to discover that the apartment you bought for $345,000, they're selling the brand new one next door for $135,000. I hear that and weep for Ireland. Thanks indeed, Andrea, and mind yourself, Pat. Bye bye.